Welcome back to the Wizards of Amazon podcast, where we cover all things private label. My name is Carlos Alvarez, and I'll be your host for the show. On today's episode, we have two pretty amazing guests who previously presented in the Advanced Amazon Seller Meetup group, Corey Hammond and Zach Toste. I hope I'm getting that last name right. Toste,
Yes.
co-founders of DotCom Partners. What's up, guys?
Hey, how are you doing?
Zach, did I butcher your name?
You did not know. And surprisingly enough, growing up throughout my life, playing golf and getting announced on the first team golf tournaments, because that was kind of an internal joke that would make me laugh on how the starter would pronounce my last name. So no, you actually got it right on the first try.
Nice. Well, you guys presented again at an Advanced Amazon Seller Meetup group we host twice a month, and the group is just going nuts with it. I know a lot of people have already reached out to you guys and are making some gains. I also, while we were chatting before we hit record on this, I let you guys know I have no doubt that you'll be frequent guests on the show for all things Walmart. Since you've never been on the show before, can you both introduce yourselves, like maybe a little bit about what you were doing? You already mentioned golf, but a little bit about what you were doing maybe before you met or before .com Partners, anything having to do with Walmart and why you decided to start this agency.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Corey Hammond, and I worked at Walmart e-commerce for a little over 2 years now. And at the beginning of this year, Zach and I decided to jump ship and help customers or help brands with their Walmart presence. Before I was at Walmart, I was sort of all over the place working for a visual effects company, helping with business analytics. And, coming into the e-commerce space, I realized that there's more to it than just Amazon. And working at Walmart e-commerce made me realize just, how much potential there really is out there. And if you approach it the right way, you can run a very profitable business off of Walmart, off of Amazon. And Walmart.com is one of those channels in which you can diversify your sales channels.
Awesome. Zach, you want to add anything to that or?
Yeah. So just to introduce myself, my name is Zach Toste. Before I went to Walmart e-commerce, I was actually at a marketing agency down here in Miami for about a year and a half. And then I got reached out to, moved up to Hoboken, New Jersey, and worked in Walmart e-commerce for about a year and a half. And just like Corey said, I really think that both him and I realized after having many a coffee conversation at Walmart and Jet, we realized that a lot of our vendors had a lot of opportunities to grow, but us as category specialists being the internal, points of contact at Walmart, we only had so much bandwidth and so much time. So we can only focus on those 5 or 6 top vendors in our categories, and everyone else, it was kind of like, we helped them out how we could, but we really just kind of noticed that there was a lot of growth opportunities in that more long tail section of our brands that we managed. So one thing led to another, and now here we are on the other side, helping our clients grow on Walmart.
Awesome. And so both of you saw that there was a lot of brands that had potential on Walmart, but that there was not enough bandwidth to go around to allow them to maximize their potential on Walmart. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, no, that's spot on. And, you can see it with the quarterly earnings. Walmart e-commerce was growing between 40 and 50%, every quarter. And during our time, we were one of the many category specialists responsible for growing every single category on Walmart.com. But like Zach said, we could only focus on a handful. And so after leaving Walmart.com, we realized that if we could cut through the noise and communicate effectively with category specialists representing our clients, being the brands and vendors, we can get a lot more done rather than just the brand speaking with the category specialist. And we've actually heard from multiple category specialists that we've worked with that the work we do with them turns something that would typically take 3 months into a 2-week turnaround. So we're seeing amazing results in just the past 6 months.
Wow. And what would you say are the top 3 or whatever you think, the amount that you think is important that brands previously when you were still at Walmart most struggled with, or was like their greatest frustrations in working with Walmart?
So a lot of the brands that we worked with also had a store presence, and they weren't entirely familiar with what you needed in the digital space. So things as simple as imagery, they just could not wrap their heads around.
Let me
Um,
hold on. Let me ask you. Store presence? Do you mean they had an e-com storefront, or that they had a physical, like traditional brick and mortar storefront?
Oh, sorry, Walmart stores.
Okay.
So they would sell in Walmart stores, and they would typically only focus on brick and mortar. So even outside of Walmart, they were only selling in other brick and mortar spaces. And so when we would speak with them about Walmart.com, we would go down this list of internally at Walmart, and also Mark Lowry talked about this, the 5 ITs. The 5 ITs is have it, find it, display it, price it, and deliver it. And those 5 ITs are actually what every single category specialist uses to basically determine, are they doing their job? And so when we speak with our vendors, we look at those 5 ITs and we tell them, hey, you need the correct assortment. Your pricing is incorrect. You are not delivering within 2 days. Let's fix that this quarter.
Awesome. Zach, you want anything to that?
Yeah. So I think, getting a little bit more granular, because the 5 ITs are kind of a really, really good outline. Um, I think that one of the things I saw most commonly as an issue, internally, like with my brands, was number one, I would say content. So not only the imagery, but SEO, SEO valuable descriptions, proper title naming sequences, like for .com, and also another thing that I noticed was developing and being able to execute on a launch plan on site. Um, that's something that was like really, really important as a category specialist. And I had a couple of really fun brand launches that, with the teams that were more robust within my brands that I worked with, had some really, really cool launches there. But a lot of the times it would be, me kind of like poking and prodding and saying like, okay, like, here's what we got to do. Here's what you got to put together. Ask your marketing team to do this, this, and this. So, definitely having a team on the brand side who can coordinate things effectively and kind of knows the ins and outs of general merchandising and e-commerce, really kind of, you see that shine through internally almost immediately.
And when you mentioned the title structure, I think you said, or like the naming system of the product, you're referencing like how that affects search and maybe the search algorithm, if we even call it that, like the search algorithm on Walmart?
Yeah, so one really common thing that we would see, and again, this is a big disclaimer to anybody listening that we are not experts at all in Amazon. But one thing that we would see is that, a lot of our vendors would kind of work through those third-party API connections to syndicate all of their content, like the seller clouds and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say that right? Seller cloud? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And we would see these titles being kind of syndicated across all the e-commerce channels, and we're assuming that we're written for Amazon, because you look at them and they're 30, 40 words long, and filled with keywords and descriptors that kind of just like don't really help the end customer at all. And one thing that we kind of learned is that the algorithms for search on Walmart and Amazon are just very, very different. Walmart will actually penalize if keywords are jammed into a title. It needs to be short and concise, give the customer enough information to click into the item, and then let the item product display page do all of the work from there.
That's interesting, because what most people do on Amazon, I sell on Walmart, both on eComm and in the store. However, in all fairness, it's just a nightmare for me. Like just the navigation, the communication, everything. But to be fair, I don't dedicate as much resources towards learning it and maximizing it than I do, say, Amazon. But what you mentioned about keyword stuffing and these extremely long titles on Amazon, my experience, they are significantly less effective on Amazon, even on Amazon, than what people think. Those shorter, truncated titles, no one wants to read a book to decide whether to buy this product. So I don't know if that also applies to Walmart.
Yeah.
I have no clue how Walmart's algorithm works. I'm convinced that it changes daily.
Yeah, no, it changes very often, and it is a bit of a black box for good reason, to make sure that the products themselves are meeting the customer's needs at the end of the day. But the way we approach it with our clients is that we've noticed the best way to structure Walmart.com listings is brand, product name, piece count, and color. And those pieces of info, I think, is what's going to benefit you the most. And of course, if you do a little bit of keyword research, see what your competitors are doing, then that will guide you further down the path of optimizing for Walmart.com, not just optimizing for digital as a whole.
That makes sense. Switching gears a little bit, what for somebody that has not begun selling on Amazon and maybe already has some experience on Amazon, has their brand launch, is running a little PPC, has some budget, and decides they want to branch out, or for whatever reason they're not happy with Amazon right now and they just want to make the leap towards Walmart. What are the options that a person has? And hopefully they're smart enough to reach out to you guys. I can say firsthand, trying to do it myself, that's been a nightmare.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and it's one of the first things we explore with people who are new to Walmart. To give you sort of a lay of the land, there are two buckets or two ways to sell on Walmart. One is 1P, and the other is 3P. 1P is owned inventory and drop ship that is paid for. Shipping is paid for by Walmart. With owned inventory, Walmart will actually write POs that mean they will pick up the product or you will ship the product to them, and they will house it in their warehouses across the US. The other option within 1P is dropship. Category specialists will call it DSV, dropship vendor. The only difference between this and marketplace is that category specialists can control price, and Walmart will pay for the shipping to the customer.
Did I understand you right on the first one, that where just on regular eComm that Walmart's going to pay for the shipping?
Yes. So that's a huge benefit to 1P, which is Walmart essentially will by taking more authority on the item, such as being able to control the price, they will also pay for the shipping. So
huge.
Yeah, so it's a great way, again, it's a great way to run a profitable e-com business. And that's why Walmart is very picky with who goes into the 1P space, because they literally are investing in you as a brand by paying for your shipping. But they want strategic partners. And that's why Zach and I have been successful in speaking with these category specialists, because it's not simply that I want free shipping, give me free shipping. It's we want to develop a brand, or we want to develop your assortment to fill your assortment gaps, to make your website, your category, the place to shop and not anywhere else. And so, yeah, that's basically what 1P is.
And by your category, are we referring to the category manager, that we're making their category better as a whole?
Exactly. Because the category manager doesn't necessarily care about the brand or the specific product. What they care about is filling assortment gaps. So if you get
can you give me an example?
Yeah, sure. So when I was at Walmart, I sold irons and steamers, like clothes irons and garment steamers.
Exciting.
Yeah, so exciting. And so when I was working with one of the brands, I told them that, hey, this specific color and this size and price point of a steamer is selling really well on Amazon. Like, I see it as the #1 seller. Can we develop that with you? And so that brand, went out to their factory. They said, all right, we're going to develop this for you. This is the minimum order quantity, and this is the price. And then as a category specialist, I'll negotiate with them on the price. I'll say, it's got to be this, it's got to be that, it's got to be Walmart exclusive. And they were nice enough to actually give me all of that. And they developed the product, and we launched it in the 1P space. I bought it as owned inventory, and that filled the gap in my assortment. And customers started buying it because it was in line with what customers wanted from both a product functionality and even from a color standpoint.
Awesome.
So,
It's
yeah.
awesome to even hear that. I mean, you know that they do. Amazon must look at Walmart, Walmart
Oh,
must look
yeah.
at Amazon, but to even look at that sort of data and fill those gaps, that's awesome.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that by me being so so transparent with that brand, 2 months later, I saw a very similar product launched by the same brand just on Amazon. So
Wow.
they saw that I knew what I was talking about and that it was successful on Walmart, and they were like, "Oh, why don't we just launch a similar product on Amazon instead?" Um, so
Oh,
pros
that's
and cons
nuts.
to it all.
So,
Yeah.
Zach, do you want to add anything on that so far?
Yeah, I mean, I will say that, being able to work with brands in that respect as a category specialist was always something that was really fun. Just a little bit of background, like on my role at Walmart. So I was both in the ice makers, and then later on I got added on to kegerators. So pretty fun. And what's really unique about when you're a
Ice
category,
makers and steamers. This is getting good.
oh yeah, yeah, Corey and I were on the same team on small appliances for Walmart.com.
Yeah.
So one thing that's really cool about being a category specialist is that one of your main tasks that you're charged with is that you need to become an expert in your category. Like nobody on this green earth can probably knows more about ice makers than I do. Countertop ice makers, 26 pounds, 40-pound daily capacity. Like I could rattle on, and it's been almost 6 to 8 months now since I've left, and I still remember everything from it. And it's just so unique, being able to dive into such a niche specific category and realizing that, like, wow, there is a big market for this. And that truly, if you merchandise your assortment correctly and work with the category specialists, like you really can make a profitable business on Walmart, even if in a category as niche as ice makers.
All right. Corey, what you were saying about the ways to approach Amazon Walmart to get started. We won't use
Yeah.
the A word. The Walmart to get started. So there's 1P and then there's the 3P version.
Yeah, so there's 3P, which I think more people will be familiar with because it's similar to how Amazon Marketplace functions, in which you create your listing. If there are other sellers that sell that same product, if it matches with the UPC or GTIN, then you would be listed under the same product. So there could be multiple sellers on a listing. It could even be a combination of 1P and 3P sellers. But with 3P, you pay for shipping, you deal with fulfillment, and you also control the price. I will say with 3P, Walmart has made huge strides in providing more solutions for vendors that are coming from the Amazon space. So I believe 3 or 4 months ago, Walmart announced Walmart Fulfillment Services, WFS for short. And they're starting a pilot program, and it's slowly ramping up. I'd say in 6 to 12 months, it will be more widely available. But I'd say that's probably the most exciting part to Walmart Marketplace right now, is something that may be able to compete with FBA.
Yeah, I think that's a really big deal for brands, just for being able to scale, and it'll allow Walmart, as Amazon's proven to, I don't know, maybe make greater promises on, other parts of the logistical chain.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Then definitely 3P sounds like something that almost anyone can get in, similar to Seller Central. 1P requires a little, some magical tricks, or if you just have this viral thing that gets Walmart's attention. I'm assuming Walmart does reach out to certain brands directly and offer an invitation to that side of things, but it's one of those things you can't predict. And
yeah, it's tricky to get in without any sales history on Walmart Marketplace. And I will say, even with Walmart Marketplace, it is fairly easy to get lost in the pile of applications. Yeah, and so the good thing is that we've actually sort of struck a relationship with the marketplace growth team on Walmart, and so we're more than happy to connect you with that team for anyone who needs help, sort of expediting their application. And what that team does is that they'll look at your existing application, or if you haven't applied yet, they will send it through a different team in which they will actually take a look at it and figure out, okay, are you eligible to get into Walmart Marketplace? Do you meet all these all the criteria that we've set to make sure that the Walmart Marketplace is managed well? Then they will sort of get you through it much quicker than if you were to go through the classic way of going out to, I think it's seller.walmart.com, and then doing an application there.
Flipping a coin. That's pretty much what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that a service that you guys offer too for people that are really spinning their wheels on the 3P side of Walmart?
Yeah, so we're more than happy to connect you with the Walmart Marketplace team. That's free of charge. It's not a problem. We're happy to grow the space.
I hope everybody takes I hope you know what you're saying.
Don't worry. We're happy to help them out. I mean, if anyone wants to send us an email, all you need to do is include the brand name, your name, and an email that we can send to the marketplace team as well. And the most important thing is we need your Amazon seller page. And that's how the marketplace team will determine if your products could be a good fit.
How do I know? How do I know if my brand is going to be a good fit for 1P? Because it definitely sounds like there's a lot more advantages on the 1P side, and it's harder to get into. And I know this is something that you guys specialize in connecting brands with, but how do I know I'm even a good fit?
Yeah, so I'd say the first step is doing some keyword research on Walmart.com. There's not a lot of tools out there similar to Amazon that will tell you these products are the top sellers. It's good and bad. I actually think it's more good than bad.
That'd be good for business.
Yeah, and I think it's good because Walmart is in its early days compared to Amazon, and Walmart's going to have a lot of assortment gaps. And I feel like the way you need to be approaching Walmart is, how do I, as a brand, fill those gaps rather than following the crowds? One good example is weighted blankets. I actually, near the end of my time at Walmart, I was managing the as seen on TV category, like everything.
The duvet covers and.
Yeah. And so these weighted blankets actually started in as seen on TV, and it exploded in popularity. It became a huge trend to the point where it got out of as seen on TV, and all these brands started making it themselves. And now if you just do a search on Walmart or Amazon, there's hundreds of brands that sell weighted blankets. Yeah, it's crazy. And so, if a brand that sells weighted blankets were to come into Walmart and ask us, hey, am I going to make as much money as I am on Amazon on Walmart.com, I would most likely tell them no. And the reason being is because not only are there fewer shoppers on Walmart.com compared to Amazon, but it's a very saturated space. And if you simply look at other keywords that sell well on Amazon, and you do the search on Walmart, and the search results are a mess, there's no curated assortment, a lot of listings are on Marketplace, that's an opportunity, because it's telling you that category specialists haven't looked at that category yet.
Right. So it seems that at a certain point, all of those category gaps get filled.
Yeah.
And that would need to coincide with a lot more traffic on Walmart, so it's not as saturated per gap. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, in a way, it's that there aren't enough brands on Walmart.com to create saturation across every single category the way Amazon is. And so it's a huge opportunity for brands listening to this right now to realize, oh, wow, even though I don't see a lot of my products or my competitors on Walmart, there might actually be demand, and customers just can't find the right product. And I can fill that gap. And the great thing is that because there aren't that many brands, even though your sales on Walmart.com won't get near the Amazon volume of sales, you could actually get a larger share of sales for that category. So let's say you do 0.01% on Amazon, you could possibly do 10, 15% of sales in that category on Walmart.com. And even though the sales don't add up to what Amazon is, you're getting the attention of the category specialist, which could potentially turn into the attention of the Walmart store buyer. And Walmart stores is a completely different game. That's millions and millions of dollars for your brand.
And you guys think that, I lost my train of thought there on a question. You said something right then that I was like, whoa. How about, it almost seems like the carriage before the horse. Like I'm confused here. So what you just said about being able to see those gaps, to me, that's, I didn't even hear that in the presentation. So like that sounds very exciting there. Is that a service you offer to do that? But if you do, it seems like for me to get in 1P, I already need established sales. So if I'm finding a product, where do I show those sales?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. The good thing is that you can identify those assortment gaps and develop those products in 3P. And we do offer that service. Really what our focus is as a company is to be your one-stop shop, your main account manager for everything related to Walmart.
Including venting.
Including just telling us it doesn't do anything. It doesn't work. It's broken. We've literally been told Walmart.com is broken. And so we come in with this experience from Walmart, understanding that systems are frustrating. Even internally at Walmart, systems didn't work perfectly. But we learned that if you had the patience and the understanding that there must be a way, then you'd be really impressed with what you can achieve on Walmart.com. And so, going back to your question of, do we offer assortment gap analysis? We do, but we prefer full account management so that we can build growth strategies for brands.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, we got to start somewhere. Like some people are not, all the way there. I'm going to have to circle back at some point to talk about the stores. You mentioned the stores and millions in the same sentence, and I think my listeners will kill me if I don't ask some questions about that. But God, I just can't remember. I mean, that sounds extremely attractive. So there's no tools out there right now. I'm racking my brain that will do this gap analysis, as you called it.
Yeah.
So I can go to you, explain this is what my brand's about, and there's obviously a lot of gaps within my own brand that I want to fill. What are some new items that I can bring to bear that are not just Amazon specific and the gaps I see there, but instead on Walmart as well.
Yep.
And you'd help me out with that. We get into 3P to establish those sales. And then once we have some sales velocity, I can go back to you and say, I'm ready for 1P. Like I'm ready for the big leagues, right? Coach. Yeah. And then you make that happen. What's that process like? What happens there? So 3P is either I have velocity or like we've passed that point. I want to go to 1P.
Yeah.
What happens?
So the first step is really just having that kickoff meeting with the category specialist and setting a goal. And I think the first step is talking with them saying, hey, we have this brand. We are now in 3P. While we're in 3P, what are some goals you want us to hit? Like what sales do you need to see in order for us to have a serious conversation about 1P? There are some categories that really just don't want any more 1P vendors. And in those situations, you sort of have to, bite the bullet and be like, all right, like we're just going to focus on 3P and that's fine with us. But in most situations, a category specialist will say, okay, I see how you can be a strategic partner. Let's talk in 6 months or a year, try to hit these sales goals. And then after those 6 months, we would then reach out to them again and say, hey, not only did we hit your sales target, but we actually filled gaps in your assortment. These are the items. Can we talk about 1P and becoming a closer partner with you?
Awesome. Zach, you want to ask anything on that? We're kind of like, we're going back and we're volleying back and forth here.
I would say one thing that we really try to keep in the forefront of our minds, like when we're working with our clients, is really trying to like Corey said, not only just do certain things, but really try and understand, number one, like where our client is coming from, right? Like whether they're starting up or whether they're, a very well-established company that just needs help in the e-commerce space. Like we've truly serviced like everybody in between in the spectrum. And you'd be surprised, or at least we were when we first, started working with the different buckets of clientele, if you will, um, how similar the process is across the board. And the way that we've kind of like been able to kind of siphon out the entire process is kind of broke it down to 3 phases, if you will, of like where a brand or an item will be on like its like life cycle on .com. And as long as we're able to kind of pinpoint like, all right, you either need to get your items set up or you have your items set up already and you need to go ahead and optimize them. And then once you optimize them, what's your long-term strategy for growth? That not only helps us determine what channels, whether that's 3P or 1P, that a brand should try and go for, but also it kind of helps us determine internally, like, okay, it helps us level set and set expectations with the category specialists in order to kind of help them get an understanding of where the brand is and what their expectations should be for sales and et cetera.
Awesome. Well said, man. I'm going to throw 2 questions out here because one of them I was waiting to ask, and then another one came up with what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Where should a seller be at in their journey off of Walmart? Say they've never been to Walmart yet, haven't been selling on Walmart yet. Like what size, if you will, I hate to use that word, but what size should a seller be before they're ready to reach out to you guys to start taking advantage of Walmart? And then the question I was wanting to ask that Corey said something about was, so I'm understanding that 1P on Walmart is the quickest and easiest way perhaps to get into Walmart stores?
Yeah, so I'll take the first part of that question, then maybe Corey, you can fill in on the back half. But
Sure.
So I would say that I wish there was a magical dollar amount or like you need to hit this threshold, because I mean, it varies so much between categories, between, just different, like even departments. So whether you're in home or enthusiast and professional or beauty, different metrics mean different things. Like a $10,000 a month or a week vendor could be huge in the beauty space, whereas in home, it might not be so spectacular. So it really just, number one, depends on like the category. I would say rather than a magical like dollar amount, I would really challenge any brand that's looking to get onto Walmart with, if you look at the general landscape, more specifically on Walmart.com in this case, and you can say with confidence that your brand and product assortment either, again, fills a gap that you think might exist elsewhere, or that you're confident that you can go in and either beat competition on price or on value. So if you can hit one of those 3 key targets, I would say you have a very strong case to present to the Walmart.com buyers. And basically how that would happen would be, our team would do a little bit of investigating and try to see who's who within the internal landscape in Walmart and how to connect them with the proper teams. And once we can get like that initial kickoff call put in place, it would really be both leaning on the expertise of the category specialists to, again, provide a little bit more of background information on the general category and what their strategy is to drive their business as a whole. And, based on previous conversations with the brand, we would say, okay, we hear what you're saying, and here's exactly how we think we can help you grow in your space.
And we're talking about 1P there.
Sometimes.
Or are we talking about 3P?
It really depends, again, because some categories like electronics are very marketplace heavy, so 3P heavy. And we see brands, most of the time we'll see category specialists who on a day-to-day basis interact with more marketplace vendors than they do with 1P. But like ice makers, for example, it was a very heavily leaned towards 1P, and I look to fill out my assortment when I would like run out of stock with like marketplace items that, might be good, like backups, if you will.
Okay, so the 3P, the would-be 3P seller that's really just starting off even,
Mhm.
I'll go to that extreme, that has a product for whatever reason that is in a saturated, there's not really a gap that they can get into and be attractive on, but they want to, they believe in their brand, they believe in their business, and they just want to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
They can go to you at that point for, maybe what are the, tips, tactics, and best practices that they could do to best position themselves to be attractive at X date, like set a goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's something you can help with.
Absolutely. And in that particular case, with startups or relatively new brands, we have a couple that we work with. And what we've really seen help stand out amongst the would-be saturated crowd or market that they're trying to get into is content. And we always say over and over again, and I'm like a broken record, content is king, content is king. Like, if you have good content and you can merchandise your items properly, you will make a name for yourself and you will eventually see those sales start coming in. Because if you have great imagery and you have really nicely designed product pages and you have, you're doing marketing off of Walmart.com that's driving traffic and creating buzz around your name, whether that's on social media or, through your own email marketing channels or what have you, as long as you're working to get that sort of stuff done, like that's what gets you noticed. And I will say that, again, like we talked about in the beginning, if there's products that have one or two images, very sparse and not filled descriptions, that's not going to ever get any traffic unless you're some huge brand that people will just buy your product regardless. And even then, there's massive room for improvement. So to the end of my days, I will always say content is king. And if you can get just some good content, just some nice images, and give the customer the information that they need to make a purchase right then and there, you're already winning.
Awesome. Yeah. Content is king, I think, applies everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
On and
Absolutely.
off e-commerce. Definitely. Corey, what easiest way to get into the stores? One P. True or false? No pressure.
So I tell all of our clients that getting into stores is the Hail Mary play. It's good to always have that as a challenge for our accounts team, because I always challenge them to always do better with our clients. And the chances of it happening are fairly slim, but if you never set that goal, you'll never get there. And the great thing is Walmart, I believe in February of 2020 of this year,
Mm-hmm.
had announced that their merchandising teams were going to become truly omni. And what this means is that for up until February, Walmart stores and Walmart.com were actually two separate teams. They had different GMs, different VPs, everyone was different. And what they've been working on this year since February is consolidating the teams so that the category specialist is actually reporting to a store buyer. And now the reason why that's really important is two things. One, store buyers use more data more than ever because category specialists are challenging store buyers at every turn. Typically, store buyers will say, oh, that looks good on the shelf. I think it can sell well, rather than using the data from .com. And now store buyers can talk to their category specialist team and say, hey, how is this item done on .com? What's the conversion rate? What's the traffic? And that just empowers them with so much more knowledge. The second reason why this is really important is because if you develop a strong strategic relationship with the category specialist, they become an advocate for you internally. And when the store buyer says, hey, I have an extra spot on my shelf for next year's store mod, what product do you think I should consider? That category specialist, because we as a team, as account managers, have made our brand and our clients' brands so top of mind, that category specialist is right away going to think, oh, Corey and Zach, they have an amazing brand that they manage. Their product is ready for stores.
That's some power there.
Yeah. So the fact that we've only been in business for 6 months, their store mods only happen 1 to 2 times a year. So we haven't had a success story yet, but we have what do you say, Zach? Like 2 or 3 clients that are going in that direction. You know, no promises that it'll happen, but if it does happen, we've kind of cracked the code.
And just to add on to that, the tail end there, Corey, you know, one thing that we have seen happen with some of our brands that are store shared, or even just, you know, initial points of contact that we've made through the last couple of months, when they made that announcement internally and both externally, like with Walmart, a lot of the store buyers are now going to big brands and saying, if your content, if your online content isn't made a top priority for your brand for 2020, we're going to start giving up your shelf space in stores to other brands in your category who are going to listen and can be nimble and quick enough to make those changes, because it's all part of a greater strategy, right? Like it's a strong position that they're taking, but I think it's pretty smart, because if I'm putting myself in an average shopper's shoes.
Yeah, I know what you're about to say. Yeah, you're 100%. I think I know what you're about to say. Go. Say it.
Yeah, and I'm in the Walmart store and I'm looking around and I see an item. I know, like, maybe it's the price point's a little bit higher. Want to go home and do some research. So I pull up the Walmart app when I'm on my couch at home and I look up the item, and it has 2 images and it looks like it was taken on a warehouse floor on white paper film, and the description has 2 or 3 bullet points. Nah, I'm not going to buy that item. Maybe I'll do another one in the category that's a little bit cheaper. That's, you know, you multiply that across thousands of listings that aren't optimized. That becomes a real problem.
Yeah.
And
then what they're seeing is a very similar, or almost maybe the same brand, identical product on Amazon, pristine white background, clean, and they're losing money. They're losing a lot of money.
Exactly. Yeah. And by, you know, again, what Walmart's really trying to do is create a very, again, omni-channel cohesive shopping experience. And just for reference, when we say omni-channel, we mean both in stores and online at the same time.
Yeah, I'm very excited with it. I mean, the lion's share of my money, eComm, by far, comes from Amazon. I mean, there's not even a close second. But I'd love to see a dog fight up there for first and second. You know, first place, second, and third. It's just a huge win for us as sellers, and for our agencies. You know, I mean, it's just a huge win when that happens. So. I agree 100%. I think that Omni push, we should see a lot more of it this year. So, I mean, that's really exciting. Guys, I have a list of questions that I could just really go on all afternoon, but I want to be respectful of your time. Again, you probably think of several questions I didn't even ask. For now though, to keep this at a digestible level, what's the best way people can reach out to you to get this, you know, free insight, even that he volunteered in the beginning, but just guidance, help, and if you're a brand that, you know, fits one of these gaps, some solid management services from you guys on Walmart. How do people reach you?
Yeah, so people can email us at team@dotcompartners.com. Our entire team will receive that email, so I'm sure we'll get back to you pretty quickly. I would say that in the subject line, if you need to get into marketplace, just throw that into the subject, say marketplace account, and so we'll be able to organize it correctly. But if you're already on Walmart and if you need help with account management and really just a full service solution in which you don't have to worry about all the frustrating pieces to Walmart, you know, just let us know, and we're happy to jump on the phone with you and explore more and figure out how we can help you right away.
Yeah, several people from the meetup group already reached out to you guys and I mean, singing your praises. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it. So that's team@dotcompartners.com.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yep.
All right. Before totally closing this off, little ambush question I ask here at the end is for both of you. What's your favorite book you ever read and why?
So one book that I read last year that sort of inspired me to really take the leap into starting my own business was Zach. It's a book called Inventing Joy by Joy Mangano. And so she was the inventor of the original Miracle Mop. And I'm sure some people have actually seen the movie Joy with I forget her name. But anyway, the book I found really inspiring and just very down to earth on not just how to push through these barriers of being an inventor, but most importantly, how to be an entrepreneur in the modern day.
Awesome. Zach, nothing on ice makers or golfing. So anything outside of all ice makers and golfing. How about you?
Well, this one is actually golf related.
Oh,
But
no.
it's a book that has always stuck with me. It's called Golf's Sacred Journey. And it's a lot less about golf and a lot more about just, implementing a general healthy perspective in your life. And really just kind of giving you a different mindset, whether that is on the golf course or just how you go about, your everyday, just trying to make you realize that sometimes there are greater things at play than what you might just initially see. And just kind of reminding you to keep an open mind when you see things going on around you.
Awesome. You guys rock. Thank you again for this time. This is actually one of the longest episodes I think I've done
Nice.
on the show. But Walmart's a really big deal, and you guys, know what it takes to succeed there. So thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to having you back on the show soon.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Carlos.
Yep. Thank you.
Liked what you heard and want to stay connected? Join our Facebook group or find me anywhere on social media at Wizards of Amazon, or text the word Amazon to 69922.